Hello, everyone. I am Nicole Stevens, Internal Communications Director for the Blank Family of Businesses, and welcome to There Is No Finish Line. This is our 9th segment of There Is No Finish Line, and we are excited to have our very own chairman with us today, Arthur M. Blank, and we're going to talk to him about the recent announcement of Mercedes-Benz Stadium being an early voting location for the January 5th Senate runoff in Georgia. So we are excited to talk to him about voting, democracy, and that recent announcement. Going back, think back to the first time that you ever voted, and tell us about that experience. How was it? Describe it for us.
Well, it was, obviously a very long time ago. And what I do remember was being very careful, feeling like if I made a mistake, the vote wouldn't count. Mm-hmm. So I remember having to go through the form, and I can't remember, we used a black pencil, I think, at that time, and I was very careful, very well thought out, and I had done my homework on all the issues and the candidates at that time, and so it was a really big deal. I mean, I felt like at the time this was like, wow, this is, I'm voting, I'm part of America, I'm making a difference. So right. It was great, and of course, it's changed a good bit over the years, but more often than not today, I'll vote. I usually vote, I'll mail in my ballot.
Okay.
But it's a real privilege to vote, and we'll talk about that. So, but I do remember the first time, and I remember being nervous. I didn't want to make a mistake, so the ballot would definitely count. So.
Definitely. And I'm sure that is probably some of the same feelings as other first-time voters have now. Not much probably has changed.
Yeah. Well, I think, and I would guess probably, the requirements today, probably even more exacting. I don't know that they were quite, I mean, they could have been, I don't remember, but at that time, I don't think, dotting every I, crossing every T was quite as critical as it is today, but it's fine. Those are the rules and we'll follow them. So, but it's a real privilege and an honor to be able to vote and make a difference in our country.
It is. Tell us about the decision to convert Mercedes-Benz Stadium to an early voting location for the Senate runoff on January 5th. What went into making that decision for you?
Well, the decision was really a non-decision for us. I mean, there was no decision to make. We knew if we had the opportunity, we wanted to do it. And we were really blessed with a great partner in State Farm Marina, the Hawks in this case, and Fulton County that was willing to work with us. And so we have an opportunity to learn from State Farm, who's been through that, process before, and learn from their associates there. And so they'll do it in the first part of the runoff, and we'll do it in the second part of the runoff. And I think our associates are incredibly proud that we've made that decision, if you will, but really the fact that we just had the opportunity, it was an easy yes, regardless of what it was going to take, was an easy yes, because it's an opportunity for us to express ourselves, not just verbally or financially, but actually to demonstrate that we believe that voting is really important. And we want to use our facilities, we want to use all our personnel, our associates, and to our associates who want to make a difference. They feel like, not only can they vote, but they can help other people vote. And they can do it in a beautiful atmosphere, within our stadium, which is, we think one of the finest sports entertainment complexes in the country today.
Right, exactly. After this is over, after the Senate race is over in January, what would you want, your biggest takeaway, or if someone was to compliment Arthur Blank, what would you want that to even be?
Well, I think we worked very hard at getting out, making sure voters were registered. I give great credit in the state of Georgia to Stacey Abrams and the work that she did with her Fair Fight and other organizations that we've supported for a number of years now. So we had a great voter turnout on national elections and local elections as well. And I would just, like to look back on January 5th and said we had the same turnout again, or even more so. This is an important runoff because these are 2 remaining Senate seats, and that'll have an influence on the balance that we see in Congress. So I'm thrilled that we were able to be part of this, and really not just at the stadium, but with all of our businesses, getting people out nationally through our PGA Tour Superstores, and here locally through the same stores and through the stadium and through HD Backyard when we encourage voter registration. Our foundation has done an incredible amount of work in this area, including lots of organizations that are knocking on doors and giving people an explanation of, telling them why it's important to vote and how to go about doing it. If you have any questions, are you registered? If you have any questions about the runoff, this is how you make sure you get your ballot, how you make sure you vote on time, et cetera. So to me, really across the nation, I would say, and here in Georgia and here in Atlanta, that we've seen a greater awareness of the power of the vote. And of course, we're really blessed here. We've had role models that live in Atlanta, where I've lived here, people like, Dr. King, obviously, and two of his great disciples, Andy Young, who's a close friend, and John Lewis, who was a very close friend and, sadly left us this year. But, John would say often, the most powerful tool that you have is your vote, your power to vote, the ability to cast ballot, whether it be locally, citywide, regionally, statewide, nationally, whatever. And so I think we've seen that come to fruition. And I think John is, for sure, he's looking down on all of us. He's absolutely an angel, and is looking out and saying, I'm proud of America. I'm proud of America for getting out and voting and continue the work that we started to do in the 50s and 60s. And I'm sure that, I know Andy Young feels that way, and I'm sure that Dr. King would feel that way as well.
Definitely. To those individuals who, for whatever reason, might be a bit discouraged and feel like their vote and their voice doesn't matter, what would you say to them?
I would say you've just lived through the proof that your vote, one single vote, really does matter. And even without all the recounts across the nation that we've experienced, you've seen these states where they've gone one way or another way by a very small margin, including the state of Georgia. And so the individual votes, every single vote matters. Every single vote was counted in many cases now, because the recounts were counted a second and third time, but they were counted. And so I think at the end of the day, if you really want to make a difference, obviously we make it with our voices, we make it with our actions. Peaceful protest is something that we should support and salute in any environment, as long as it's done peacefully. But at the end of the day, I do agree with Congressman Lewis that your greatest power is to get out and vote and express yourself that way.
Right. And this is probably the last question we'll ask you. Why is democracy and voting so important to you and your family? Is it, from past experience? What birthed that passion for you and your family?
That's a very good question, Nicole. I would say that, for myself, it was probably my mother more than anybody else. My mother had a deep commitment to the democratic process and to democracy and to all what it represents to our country, both individually and collectively in communities. I think that's continued on with my 6 children. All 6 of them have passionate interest in social issues and social justice issues, and voting is a big part of that, a big opportunity for that. And they've all been part of peaceful protests that have kind of expressed that where they felt it was necessary to. The older ones have all voted, obviously, for many years now. The younger ones are getting ready to start voting. So, and I think I see this pride with our players, the Atlanta Falcons. I see it with our Atlanta United players as well, who've gotten out in communities and rolled up their sleeves on their one day off and reminded people how important it was to register, how important it was to vote, that their vote matters, and understanding the issues. And whichever party you vote for, whatever individual you vote for, is not as important as the fact that you go out and you express yourself and you do vote. So, I've never seen really a group of businesses roll up their sleeves and work as hard as our associates have across the board in making people aware of their opportunity and their responsibility to vote and to be heard in a positive, nonviolent way. And, you know, I attribute to that to all the leaders that have expressed those views. They go back to Dr. King and earlier and since then. To see it make a difference in our elections, both locally and nationally, I think is very powerful. So I would encourage everybody to continue to do that. We're thrilled to having the partnership we do with the Congress Center, in this case, State Farm as well. And my partner owner at the Hawks, Tony Ressler, has done a great job in providing great leadership as well. So that's the way communities should operate. You know, it's not whether you're voting Republican or Democrat. We vote for whoever we believe represents our interests, the interests of our country the best. And so that voting right, I think, has been treasured and honored. And I think in this election particularly, we've seen it. And now with the runoff situation, January 5th, there's so much at stake. Whichever side you choose to vote on, get out and vote, and your voice will be heard and your vote will matter. And I would just encourage every single person to do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Arthur, for taking a few minutes out of your time to talk with us.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for all your work you've done in supporting all of this and all of our work. It means a lot. Thank you.
Well, you know what? It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. It's something that's important to me anyway. And it was great that I was able to do it, you know, at work.
Yeah.
That's rare.
Yeah.
That's not common.
You know, I mean, that's, you know, you understand the book, Good Company, you know, our book, you know, that's what our part of our work is. Part of our work is to make a difference in the lives of other people, not only at work, but in the communities and the issues that we face as a country and as individuals and as a greater family. So it's a privilege for me to be part of that and to see people like yourself and a lot of our associates step up and do this work and do it, you know, out of their hearts and out of their spirits and out of their commitment to making a difference in the world. So thank you, truly thank you, Nicole, to you and many of our other associates for doing that. It's deeply appreciated.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. You're welcome. You. Well, we will let you go for the evening. Okay.
Enjoy the rest of your holidays.
Okay, we'll do. Thanks a lot,
care.
Arthur.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Okay.